Welcome back, Infinite Arts Mart. And that was Don McLean's Starry Starry Night, and featuring Vincent Van Gogh, which will be our artist this show, first week of March. And we're going to talk about begging and how we beg sometimes for things, or maybe another word, perhaps you aren't begging, but you're pleading and you're asking. And the Lord asks us to do this. And I'm going to go into scripture and show you beautiful words about asking and calling upon the Lord, calling upon our family and friends, how there are beggars out there calling upon us to help them. And the best way to help them, we certainly don't want to enable them by just handing them cash. Some of them are, into things they shouldn't be, such as drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. We need to provide for them. This is the time of Lent, and we have a fun show ahead. So let's get to it. We're going to keep foremost prayer and fasting and almsgiving, which is giving to the poor, giving to charity, giving to those beggars. And let me tell you about the beautiful artist Vincent Van Gogh. Here we have on the wall, we have his work, the irises. And this is available. Anything that you see, as ever, is available on the show. Please email me at iamnancyshow@gmail.com. So, isn't it lovely? It's almost a nice print, very simple, with a matting and a frame. There's no glass, so this is easy to ship. And I'm begging you. I'm not going to beg, but it reminds me of that song, Although I Ain't Too Proud to Beg, or that phrase. And I really do plead with all of you to please at least share this video with one person. And if you see something you like, please purchase it. And the way to do that is to contact me again at iamnancyshow@gmail.com, and we will set you up. Everything's very reasonably priced, and art makes you smart and happy and, dare I say, holy, as we explore the sacred beauty and joy of art in our life here on Infinite Arts Mart. So let me tell you about Vincent Van Gogh. Was he known to beg? Well, no, he didn't beg on the streets or anything, but he did ask his brother Theo to help him out. And I think that's where it should begin, within your family if you are in need, and then try to help if you can. So while Vincent Van Gogh's letters reveal he often struggled financially, there's no evidence to suggest he engaged in formal begging. Instead, he relied on financial support from his brother Theo and occasionally asked for specific amounts of money. For an example is a letter dated in September 17, 1888. Vincent wrote to Theo stating, "At the moment I have 5 francs left, so I must beg you to send me what you can, or else, but do let it be by return mail, enough to last me the week, or indeed 50 francs if it is possible." So that's very good, huh? Theo was a promoter of Vincent's art. He is our artist too because he was born in March. He was born March 30th in 1853, and he passed away July 29, 1890. Vincent was a Dutch post-impressionist painter who is among the most famous and influential figures in the history of Western art. In just over a decade, he created approximately 2,100 art pieces, including 860 oil paintings, most of them in the last 2 years of his life. He painted landscapes, still lifes, portraits, and self-portraits, characterized by bold colors and dramatic brushworks that contributed to the rise of Expressionism in modern art. His work began to gain critical attention before he died from perhaps a self-inflicted gunshot at the age of 37. He studied at the Royal Academy of Fine Arts. His notable works are, of course, Sunflowers, Bedroom in Arles, The Starry Night, Wheat Field with Crows, and Sorrowing Old Man. He was born into an upper middle class family, and he drew as a child. Quiet and thoughtful and serious, and he showed signs of perhaps some mental instability. As a young man, he worked as an art dealer, often traveling, but became depressed after he was transferred to London. He turned to religion and spent time as a missionary in southern Belgium. Later, he drifted into ill health and solitude and was keenly aware of modernist trends in art. While back with his parents, he took up painting in 1881. His younger brother Theo supported him, both financially and presented his artwork, and they maintained a long correspondence. His early works consisted mostly of still lifes and peasant laborers. And he moved to Paris, where he met members of the artistic avant-garde, including Émile Bernard and Paul Gauguin, who were seeking new paths beyond Impressionism. Frustrated in Paris and inspired by a growing spirit of artistic change and collaboration, in February 1888, Van Gogh moved to Arles in southern France to establish an artistic retreat and commune. Once there, his paintings grew brighter and he turned his attention to the natural world, depicting local olive groves, wheat fields, and sunflowers. Van Gogh invited Paul Gauguin to join him in the Arles and eagerly anticipated his arrival in 1881. He suffered from some psychotic episodes and delusions and often neglected his physical health and didn't eat properly and drank heavily. So these things are going to actually contribute to your mental health, not eating properly and drinking heavily. That's why we need to try to help those out there that are begging on the roads and streets with healthy things, healthy foods and drinks, and try to get them help. He spent some time in psychiatric hospitals, including a time in Saint-Rémy. After his discharge, he moved to Auberge-Ravoux in Auvers-sur-Oise, near Paris. He came under the care of homeopathic Dr. Paul Gachet. His depression persisted, though. Art began to attract critical artistic attention in the last years of his life, and after his death, his art and life story captured public imagination as an emblem of misunderstood genius, due to large part the efforts of his widowed sister-in-law, Johanna Van Gogh. His bold use of color, expressive line, and thick application of paint inspired the avant-garde artistic group, like Fauves and German Expressionism, in the early 20th century. His work gained wide critical and commercial success in the following decades and has been a lasting icon of the romantic ideal of tortured artists. Today, Van Gogh's works are among the world's most expensive paintings ever sold. His legacy is celebrated by the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, which holds the world's largest collection of his paintings and drawings. So please check that out if you're able. I have some other works of art on him, such as a very fun book called At Eternity's Gate. The spiritual vision of Vincent Van Gogh. He was a spiritual man. And this is a fun movie, At Eternity's Gate, with William Dafoe and Rupert Friend, Mads Mikkelsen, Matthew Amalric, Emmanuel Senior, and Oscar Isaac. It's an Academy Award nominee, Julian Chabel's visionary portrait of Vincent Van Gogh's final years. This is an excellent movie. I'm going to show you some that I did that were inspired by Vincent, and this inspired a poem. It's just a little postcard poem. It's just a kind of a greeting card poem, and someone planted sunflowers for me. It's just a little sketch of sunflowers, but it makes me think of Vincent. And I have another that I did. I did a sunflower when the awful war in the Ukraine began. And if you're interested in any of my work, you're welcome to it. Please, again, anything you see, the book, the movie, I will sell it so that we can give 10% to the poor. And I will have more to give to those beggars out there on the roadway. I like to always have handy some unopened food, sunscreen sometimes. I told you all I've been doing watercolors. Here's a watercolor of mine I did. It's of the oak tree out back of my house. It's a little bit Vincent-esque. You know? And I hide my initials in there somewhere. So that's fun if you're interested in one of my pieces. I'm going to show you, here's another one I just recently did. Some of these blooming yellow trees I've been seeing that remind me of Christmas. It's Christmas every day this year, 2025. And that's available. Kind of looks oriental to me, this one. Also, I'm going to show you some other pieces of mine that I did as a young kid. This is a pastel that I did. A tree, a bush, a field, and the sun setting. That's an old piece. And that's good for this show of my work. Also, let's turn on this light and see. And I have Christmas every day. I've got these, still have the red lamp, which is available. I have these really cool modern candlesticks. Let's bring them up closer. Aren't they fun? They really go with that lamp, even though you don't have a lamp and candles going on at the same time. Although you might have the lamp in the corner and these at your dining room table. There's two, of course. Très moderne, huh? Next week we're going to maybe have some modern art to look at. More modern. Vincent was modern in his day. And kind of have some fun green items this show. We're going to segue into what was funny for you. I'm kind of changing around things, as you can see. And strawberries, I discovered why there were so many strawberries. It's because we're having a strawberry festival down here in Florida. you're going to see a lot of strawberries out there. So there was a reason for the surplus strawberries. We had a good harvest this year. I think when it goes from cold to warm to cold, back to cold to warm, sometimes we have some really good crops. And you can do that with your fruit that you get from the store or your vegetables. If they're not quite ripe or sweet enough, you can leave them out for a bit, pop them back in the cold fridge, bring them out, pop them back in. So that always is going to provide good results. If it doesn't, I would take it back. If it doesn't have any flavor and such, that's happened to me before. Okay. And down here in Florida, we have all kinds of these festivals and with fruits and vegetables, and you can come and pick them yourself. It's super fun. So check it out if you're visiting or if you live here. Check out blueberry picking. There's peaches, there's grapes, there's corn picking, there's tomato picking. So check those out if you're visiting. And there's sunflowers sometimes. Super fun. Okay, what else is funny? Okay, it's amazing, like, I went to Ash Wednesday Mass. I got my ashes, and they had a Mass at the same ceremony. And I'm thinking, what might be funny? I'm always looking for it because a lot of the times it shows up at church. So, and I was over in the corner, kind of. I was in the back to the right. And I'm looking forward, and here's this couple in chartreuse. And the fella has on, he's got words on his shirt. So I'm going up to, I can't quite make them out from where I am at that angle. So on my way up to receive Holy Communion, I read his shirt, and it was perfect for me. His shirt said, Spring Praise Fest Volunteer. I want to be a Spring Praise Fest volunteer, singing praises, and praising the Lord and thanking Him always, no matter what, even in the hardships, So, yeah, I want to be a Spring Praise Fest volunteer in chartreuse with reflector stripes. The gal had on reflector stripes, and I told her afterwards how thrilled I was about that, and she says, well, they're going to be doing some charitable work out on the road, and they want to be seen. So, there is a reason. And the other thing about Ash Wednesday, does anybody ever tell you you got something on your face? It reminded me of, and they don't know about Ash Wednesday or they forget or whatever. It reminded me of this lady, the story from my mom, that this stranger came up to her or, was nearby her, and she said, you've got a loose hair in your face. And she went to remove it from my mother's face, and it was actually attached to her head. So my mom's like, ouch, what is this strange person doing, touching me? It was really odd, but kind of, not funny, but funny in a sense. So I hope that doesn't happen to me. But the other thing that does happen with ashes on Ash Wednesday is throughout the day, they even, in the beginning of right after you receive them, they start to fall into your face. And I really, I used to wear contact lenses, and you get something in your eye, and that's gonna really hurt. So I'm always like, trying to make sure they don't fall into my eyes or into my mouth. I've discovered there's a couple ways that you can receive ashes. You can either receive them here, or some places put them on the top of your head, which would actually be better for everybody, because up here they're just going to fall farther in to your scalp. You're not on display. You don't have this, cross on your forehead, and then it's fallen apart into your eyes and your mouth. I would say we should all go back to that method of ashes, or I'm going to look for that. I think it's the more traditional way to apply them, is to just sprinkle them on your head, and then they say these beautiful words: repent and believe in the gospel. That's all I have for you this week. And it's fun, though, to be on the lookout, on the search for joy, and the choices of looking for joy. That's my comedy for you. We're going to segue to my saint. And I have another stool for you this go round. It's a nice black bar stool. Fun, huh? That's available if you're local and you're interested. So, check that out.